And welcome back, everyone. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you the end result again. And what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves a football field. So, whoops, here's what the field looks like. And it's now you'll notice that I have made these sort of dots everywhere. Now, I purposely did this just to show you a feature of time. Because not only are we going to make some, lines and whatnot, we're going to make ourselves a field. And there's lines going on here, 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 and then eventually it'll make itself a football field. Now, I get cut off by the video, but I did make end zones of red and blue, and I'll be sure to put things in there for you to see it. But we've made ourselves a football field using entirely graphics. So we're going to go and we're going to make that. There's a lot of stuff to learn in this. And we're going to take it one step at a time, and let's get started. So obviously we're using turtles because we're using graphics, so we're going to import ourselves some turtle. But we're also going to import time. Time is a feature that is, much like turtle, has its own different sets of rules. You can, it has all its different objects that you can claim and change about it. So we're going to just import both of them. And here's the other thing about turtles. We don't necessarily just have the turtles themselves. We actually have the screen itself as an object we can use. So I'm just going to name this my canvas, okay? I'm just going to name it my canvas because that's what I'm going to name my screen. And I'm not going to make it a turtle.turtle. I'm going to make it a turtle.screen. So it has a screen. So basically, instead of having that rectangle, the perfect square shape that we had by default the other two videos, you noticed I specifically designed the shape to be a certain shape. Well, we're going to do that again. We're going to do that. So, my canvas, and this time I'm going to use a BG color, which stands for background color. I'm going to change it to green. And my canvas, because that's once again the name of my object, and I know it's a screen, I'm going to go setup. I'm going to set up how big it is, how much X it is, and how much Y it is. I'm making it 1200 across and 550 tall. And now if you'll notice, if I hit save and just run it, I will have a green background that is literally 1200 across and 550 tall. And that's literally all it is. So let's continue on with that then. Congratulations, you now know how to change a screen. So I'm going to go and say, I'm going to use my mover again. Actually, I'll just name it mover because I like using that name, but that's okay. So mover is going to be a turtle. It helps when I can remember how to spell turtle.turtle. Just a word that's just a word that always looks weird to me. And I'm going to change my mover to be a shape. Actually, once again, I don't even need to use that line because remember, I can just say a square right there in that line. Remember, saving lines. And I'll say, mover.speed. I'm going to make the speed fast just so we can go through this. 10. And I'll say, mover.pen color white, because the lines on the field are white. And of course, I can also say mover.fill color white. And I can do that. So remember, what's the difference between a fill color and what's the fill color and a pen color? The pen color is the outside, it's the stroke. The fill color is the inside. So if I run this, you'll notice I have a white square there in the center. In theory, if I do this, if I just say color white, it will be both the pen color and the fill color. Let's run the module here, see what happens. And yes, so once again, you take 2 lines of code, take it down into 1 line. But there might be times where you want your pen color and your fill color to be different. this changes both of them, but you still have the options for pen color and fill color individually. So always remember that. So we got that. I'm going to fill color, pen color. So I'm going to go and I'm just going to go mover.pen up because I don't want, I don't want to accidentally make some mistakes here. And I'm just going to say mover.set position. I'll put it at -475, at 150. I purposely took out the hassle of trying to figure out where all those numbers represent on the field before you, or else this video would be, 2 hours long every single time. And once again, I'm gonna make some, details over and over and over again. But so I'm going to make myself obviously a counter. So a loop. So for counter in range 20. Okay. Because there's going to be 20 little steps in there because it marks every 5 yards and whatnot. I'm going to say mover.stamp. Now, what does stamp mean? Stamp means the actual icon itself, whether it's a triangle, a turtle, a square, an arrow, whatever the shape of that is. Imagine you have a stamp and you stamp it onto a piece of paper. It takes the shape of what it is. So we're not making a line, we're making a graphic out of the actual design of the shape itself. And I'm just going to go time dot, sleep 1 second. So I'm going to make it sleep for 1 second. So after every stamp, it's going to stop for 1 second. And you will see that. And I'll say mover dot forward, and I'll put it 50 for 5 yards. So now you'll go and see it and run it, run module, and you'll notice every single second it makes a new stamp. It is literally the shape of the turtle. It's literally the shape of the turtle that's being made over and over and over and over again until it stops and reaches the end. Now, that was quite long, so I know I did that in the example, but I'm just going to go and say .25. I'm going to make this a quarter of a second. And then I'll go and change the mover position, so, Now you'll notice it was making those stamps even when the pen was up. The pen is the trail that goes behind it. You can stamp something all you want without having the pen ever go down. So I'm just going to say, mover, because that's what I named it, and I'll set the position, and I'll make this at, -475 again, but this time at, what I set it at? I set it at 150. 150. And then I can just do that same thing again. And you'll notice I will have, when I run this module, I will have 2 lines that go across. Oops, what'd I do? I did not do -150. That's what I forgot. I just did the same thing twice is what I did. So, let's fix that. Let's run this and I'll show you what it should look like at this point. Got a line there, and then we got a line there. And we're well on our way to making something look like that. So we've got all that design right there. Let's close this out. There we go. 275. There we go. And now I'm going to need a goal X equals 100 and goal Y equals 550 because the end zones are 10 yards and they're roughly about 55 yards wide because that's roughly how big a field is. So basically, instead of having to make 4 different corners, I just put 2 different objects in there so that I can guarantee this over and over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do for counter in range 2. Probably going, but there's 4 sides. Yeah, but they're not 4 equal sides, so I'm going to have to actually do 2 sides in one loop. So mover dot forward, because it should theoretically be at the top left when I do this. So I'll put goal X, because I'm going to move it on the X axis. So I'm moving it 100. And then, of course, I could do the same thing with, mover dot right 90. And, of course, mover dot forward goal Y. And then mover dot right 90. So in theory, it'll go and make a loop. Now, obviously, it's not going to actually do anything. If I go and run this, you will see, and I'll put it right over here so that we can see what's going to happen. You'll see the pen move, but nothing's going to happen once it gets to this point. Because the pen itself, when a pen goes down, it's making the trail, it's doing the pen. You have to physically tell it to begin its fill. So I'll say mover begin, oops, lowercase b there, David. Begin underscore fill. So that red that I put in the fill, now I want you to begin filling. And of course, after it, mover dot, end underscore fill. So I'm no longer filling things. I have to begin where I'm filling and end where I'm filling. And I just sort of realized I don't actually need those goal X and goal Y. So I can just go and say, I'm always in the habit of making things like that just because I'm used to doing that. And I'm used to having different results that I want and changing them over and over again. But in this scenario, I don't think we'll need it. Save ourselves a few more lines of code there. And you'll see that, and then it should make a red end zone over here. And it made a red end zone. Yay! Except for the fact that it did not go all the way. Why did it go down like that? It should have gone all the way down there. So, because I put it at 500 instead of 550, that's why. There we go. So now that that's fixed, let's move over and let's do basically the same thing, except we're going to have to, copy, paste it, but this time I'll make a blue end zone. And this time the set position is going to be at the negative 500. No, it's going to be at 500, and we'll be able to make ourselves the blue end zone. So that's going to be that point. Let's just run it to make sure. Run module. And we'll just also make sure that this goes all the way down there, because it should be. It's 550 now. Yep, it went all the way down. And we made ourselves that in the blue end zone. So we got both end zones now. So now all we need to do is make the goal lines. And this is where, once again, I recommend you do a loop and make sure that you understand what it is you're doing with this loop. So, I'm going to set the position. So, I'm going to change the mover.setPosition. I'm going to change it up to negative 500 and 275. That's the top of the screen, 275. Then I'm going to for counter in range 21. And I'm going to mover.pen down, because now we're actually going to use that pen. We're going to use the white, which it should still be white, considering we only changed the fill color. Pen down, and I'm going to mover.right 90. So basically, the pen should be at the top corner of the screen, and it should be facing to the right. So I want it to turn and face down. So I'm going to make it face down. And then I'm going to do some modular division here. So if counter modular division 2 equals 0. So if it's equal to 0, I'm going to change the pen size, mover.pen size 1. Oh, sorry, actually 5. Let's make it 5. And else, because if it's not, then it's an odd. So basically I'm diverting even and odds here. Mover.pen size 1. There we go, that should be easy enough. And so it's going to keep changing the thickness of it every single time it's even and odd. And I'm going to go with mover.forward 550. And then I'm going to change the mover pen up, because I don't want to change some stuff about it. And I'm going to go mover backwards. Oh, not backward, backward. With no S, no S. Backwards 550. So I'm going to make a line, then I'm going to go back. Then I'm going to change it, and it's facing down, so it has to be turned to the left, 90 degrees as well, to be facing the right again. And I'm going to say mover forward, 50. And outside of the loop, I'm just going to say, and hide the turtle just so I don't need to see it again. Mover.hide turtle, so I don't have to see it. So basically what's going to happen is I've just made a bunch of lines and I made it go across every single part of the field. And you will see that once we are done with the end zones. And it made thick line, thin line, thick line, thin line, and it just kept redoing that pattern over and 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 over again until it reaches the end zones, in which case it ends and the thing hides away. So there we have it. We have made a graphic. We have made ourselves a football background of some sort at the end of it. Now we could, go and put, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, if we really wanted to. But let's not. I think this is enough of graphics. We learned how to do some fill colors. We learned how to do canvas size and canvas backgrounds. We learned some stamping. We learned some time. And, yeah, that was a lot to handle in one video. So the next video is going to be a little bit easier. We're going to be doing some freeform drawing with the pen. So we're going to go and do that. See you in the next video. Thank you very much. Later. Bye-bye.